they make it easy. How are you? Yeah. Yeah, let's talk after the meeting. Good morning. Good. How are you doing? Tired. Hi, Margaret. How you doing, girl? Oh, what's wrong? Oh, nothing. Oh, you look sick like something. I'm poor. Oh, great. I know. Yesterday was here too. The wind has been. Yeah. Morning, everybody. If we could go ahead and start with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Everybody have a nice Memorial weekend. Yes. No. Very grateful, very thankful for the individuals that fight for our country every day, past, present, future, giving their lives. So very, very grateful for that. I'm sure we all reflected that over the weekend. How are we feeling today? Energized? Tired? Ready to go? All of the above? Maybe a little bit of each? Yeah? Okay. Lots of people on vacation still. So, hi to everybody online, please. Hello. It is go time. We're hitting summer faster than anybody could ever imagine. This weather has definitely started a little earlier. We have had a very, very nice start into spring, into early summer. So we're seeing different things taking place. Grass is greener. We're doing more outside. People have their boats in a month earlier than what they previously would have in years. So this is really, really nice. It's getting people out and about, and people's brains are thinking in different directions now. All right, so summer is coming at us faster outside than what we had anticipated, right? With exception to yesterday's windstorm. So forget that one. But our temperatures are higher right now. People are out and moving around. They want to be outside more. Kids are getting out of school earlier. So life is shifting. A lot of schools are out earlier than they were. And you're probably saying, why are you talking about this? It's because it's getting people out into the market faster. People are doing things. They're driving around. Open houses are crazy busy. Who held an open house this last weekend? I know typically holiday ones are hit or miss. Did anybody have one last weekend? I know there are agents in the office that did hold them. I was just curious as to how successful they were with the holiday, but the weather was great, so people were moving. Reminder about the golf outing for RE/MAX of Michigan. It is June 18th, so just under, it's 3 weeks-ish from now. 3 weeks, it's a Tuesday, June 18th. Also, LCARS is July 18th. You'll start seeing those emails coming through from LCAR. The first one came out, I believe, last week. If you are interested in golfing, please let us know. We always do a team or two, and we love to have people out there. We love to represent. It's a great time. It's going to be at Whispering Pines. Last year, Whispering Pines lost. There was a storm that came through the night prior. They lost power, and they did fabulous at improvising for us. They did great. They killed it. They got porta potties. They brought in portable cooking devices. So we're trying to make it as bigger and better than ever for them. Have a great time with it. They did phenomenal with us last year, and we're definitely going back for another one. All right. No scams to report. This is the typical one. This is an old one. We leave it in here because we need to keep remembering. People that are just trying to sell houses that aren't theirs, right? Yes. This one was the consignment one. There's so much going on out there. You have to be vigilant. Has anybody heard any new ones that we haven't talked about? No? Well, I'm glad to hear that or see that. Anybody seeing anything repetitively with online leads? We are getting started. We're seeing some come through on these lead sources, and it's across the board. It doesn't matter whether it's Zillow, KV Core, Realtor.com. You're still going to get the same type of things coming through. No matter how much you try to that, these companies try to keep up with phishing or filtering that out. It's still going to get through. They just figure out a different way to do it, right? That's what it is. So just be cognizant of that. Please, if your senses feel strange, look further into it. A lot of false buyers like crazy. Jordan, anything you want to talk about on the calendar here?
Yeah, so this is the final week of May.
Here you go.
This week, on Friday, I'm going to reboot the BAM class if anybody wants to show up, and we can discuss the first 2 weeks of BAM. And so, if you've watched the videos in the Workman Success Series for those 2 weeks, that's great. Even if you haven't, though, show up and we can just absorb the content and utilize it and have a discussion about it in a way that it can be put to work for your business. So that's going to be on Friday, and I do. If people are showing up, then yeah, I'll keep the BAM series going into next month and beyond. Because it is a worthwhile class, and so and you don't have to take the class. Just show up and get the benefits of the class without even having watched the videos if you want. That's one upside. But for June, we are going to be making the calendar probably today, or it'll be out if not today, tomorrow. But I can announce now what some of the classes are going to be, because we had the survey that was in the Monday email last couple of weeks, and that I sent out through Wolf Connect, and the results of it means that the top 2 results from the survey so far have been communicating your value proposition as a buyer's agent. So I'm going to create a class with that as the topic. Basically, I'm going to capture the content from the ABR class most relevant to this, because this is a very important thing that we need to be able to do, especially with all the changes that are occurring. We need to be able to have that conversation and explain why we are valuable to our potential buyer clients, and navigate those conversations seamlessly, with confidence. So then, since we're going to have them sign contracts up front, being able to explain your value up front will be very, very important. The second top vote getter was contract contingencies. Saul designed a class all about contract contingencies, the most common ones, how to identify, whether or not they have been satisfied or not, and if they haven't been, what are the different recourse options. So those will be put on the calendar in June as all new classes based on the feedback from the survey. So I appreciate all those who have filled out the survey. It is still in the Monday email. If anybody wants to, then I can continue to check the results because as the months go on, I'm just going to go through and grab from that survey different class topics until it looks like certain ones don't have much interest at all. Also next month, we are going to be redoing the commissions and scripts. That conversation, Rob and I, we're going to do it over Zoom as a recording that we can then post to the YouTube for evergreen content. So look for that as well on the calendar. And then also every Thursday for brand new agents, we have a roundtable discussion that Rob leads down in Ann Arbor, but we then also participate over Zoom here at Brighton, and the Fenton agents can join us as well. And then also on the June calendar is going to be the book club for and The Agent's Edge by Jordan Cohen. For those that weren't here last week, didn't see the meeting, he's the top RE/MAX agent for several years. As an individual, he sells over $300 million a year, and he wrote a book that I was able to listen to basically a day driving around because I downloaded Hoopla. And if you want to be able to listen to this book for free, all you need is a library card and to download Hoopla onto your phone, and then you can access the audiobook. And when you're driving around, listen to it, and I think it was actually a really good listen through. It only took a couple hours. So we're going to have that as a book club event on the calendar as well. Also, for those that don't want to do the ABR class virtually but want to do it in person, RE/MAX in Michigan is offering that in June in Lansing. I forget the hotel name where it is, but I don't know if everybody's received details. They may have sent out an email about that now. But yeah, so if you want to earn your ABR designation and you want to do it by showing up in person to the 2-day class, you'll have that opportunity to do so for free in Lansing. For a quick little training tidbit this morning after the holiday weekend, I wanted to quickly go over my view of hashtags and how they can be utilized in KV Core. It's something that those who've shown up to my KV Core classes may have already heard my little spiel on hashtags, but for those who haven't, just a 5-minute training. Basically, when organizing your database and looking at your individual contacts, I think hashtags can be well utilized for 3 different purposes. The first and foremost is your communication strategy. If you have a group of people that are all coming from the same sphere, let's say you're involved with your local church, and so you have 30, 40 names in your database that are all your fellow church members, you add that hashtag of your church name, and then it's an easy way to, if you want to send out a communication to just that sphere, narrow it down based on that hashtag. And so there's often a lot of times where you'll want to have a mass communication, but not mass communication to literally all hundreds or thousands in your database, but just a subset of it. Using hashtags is a way to group your database into individual buckets, basically, that you can then more tailor your messaging to that group in order to, you may want to have a top 200 hashtag for your top 200 clients. These are the ones that you want to make sure that you're every quarter reaching out to on a personal level, even just like with a phone call and a text, because you can use the system for texting. And so, using it for identifying features that you can then use for communication, that's the primary way people use hashtags. Next would be business analytics. I think if people wanted to look at the lead generation opportunities within KV Core. You can do boosting properties or squeeze pages. Some we just get randomly, by being part of Remax. Those goes through go through remax.net and get sent to us as leads. If you have a hashtag that is associated with that contact, identifying where they came from. So let's say, for instance, you did a property boost, and so you did a hashtag property boost. Then at the end of the year, you can do a quick search to see all of your contacts in your database that were from a property boost and see how many of them actually made it to the closing table. And then compare, okay, you made this much commission off of, when checking your records, how many property boosts did you do? Or just how many property boosts did you do to get X number of clients? Of those clients, how many made it to actually under contract? How many made it to the closing table? Being able to filter down your database of thousands in order to identify where you got them from, for the purpose of, if you're spending money doing lead generation, you can then get a better handle of, okay, is that lead generation expense worthwhile? So that's another use. And then lastly is a quick search function. Let's say you get a client who wants something that's very unique, that you're not likely to come across a property that matches that very specific criteria. The example I use is like if they want waterfront with an outbuilding, a nice pole barn. You can put them in your database with a hashtag unicorn, and then like hashtag pole barn, hashtag waterfront, where then it's just a reminder to you where if 6 months, a year, 2 years from now, you come across a property and you're like, wait a minute, this thing has both a waterfront and a pole barn. There was a client of mine who wanted that, and I can't remember who it was because I've got thousands of clients. Let me quickly search for the unicorn in my database, pull it up and see, okay, yeah, this is the one who wanted that very specific thing. So if it's one of those that can give you peace of mind knowing, okay, you can put it in the back of your head as to, you have somebody who wants this specific thing. You don't have to keep their name front and center for when you come across it. You have the ability to use your database to search by using hashtags. All that is to say though, as you're building your database in KV Core, using hashtags, do it with intention and do it knowing, okay, adding the hashtag, why you're doing it. You don't want to just add hashtags just to add hashtags. You want it to be that if you're giving them a hashtag, you can already foresee in the future what you're going to use that hashtag for. Otherwise, it can just get very sloppy and overwhelming and kind of pointless. Only decide up front what you will in the future use your database, in what ways you're going to do it, and then build the hashtag campaigns around that. Any thoughts or questions? As a quick training.
It's a lot.
All right.
Would you guys like to have a class that's kind of dedicated to, or part of a class?
Oh, I did this.
Yes.
I
Yes.
I elaborated more on all
Yes.
that.
Now that we're hearing it more, is it something that you would like to see, understand more about, or do you think you understand it?
Yeah.
I think we have.
I bored you today, and that's fine.
No, it's a good thing. This is a lot. It's
Hear it
good.
over and over because it sticks better.
Yeah, we see these in posts. You see them. Some people wonder why it's there, even me, myself included, until I understood it better, and I still don't have a full grasp. Because in my head, I'm like, do they know what a squeeze page is? Right?
No, and
all these different things that matter if you are doing online, if you have an online presence.
Well, just communicating to your database,
Yes.
we would be lost if we weren't using them for years.
Yes.
And I've worked it into actual checklists, of course, with listings, buyers, specifically, how am I going to pull them back out 3, 5, 10 years from now?
Right.
And so it's invaluable to use these.
It
if
is.
you're not. And like Jordan said, give it thought ahead of time and work it into a system so that, even if you just want to send Christmas cards with a Christmas list, 2024 sold, whatever you're going to want to use, it's invaluable.
And if you are starting at square one, the thing that I tell people first and foremost as the first step to it is if you decide, okay, I do want to utilize hashtags, but I've already got this database of 2,000 people, then the very first thing you should do is select all and add the hashtag untouched. And then every day, if you can tackle 20 of your contacts and you decide, okay, looking at this contact, you're gonna add this hashtag, then remove the untouched hashtag. Then over time, you're easily able to identify which ones do you still have to specifically go in and add hashtags for, which ones have you not touched and added into your hashtag campaign. So, and just learning how to add that very first hashtag of untouched to all your people, that's a good first step then to, get you to realize, okay, this is the process for adding hashtags. And just giving you that knowledge up front of, anytime you then see a contact that is untouched with the hashtag, then okay, this is somebody you need to figure out, what you want to do with this contact, because they're in your database. You've not decided if they're going to be with any hashtags or anything. Do you even know who they are? And just a good opportunity to reflect on why are they in your database, and you can still keep them there. It doesn't hurt to have a 90,000 person database, but you're not using it to the full potential if you're not identifying how you want to communicate with them through the use of hashtags and other smart campaign functions. So
Thank you. That's awesome. Perfect. Appreciate that. All right.
Anybody need to get on our community page?
Right, let's move forward.
Miss Lisa, good to see you today. Did you have a nice holiday?
Yes.
Wonderful.
It was nice. I took a couple days off on the front end, so it felt like a real vacation.
Good for you.
I'm not gonna say anything today that you haven't heard before, but I'm gonna go by what Keisha said, is we need to hear things more than once so that they stick with us. It's actually 5 to 7 times for it to go from short-term memory to long-term memory. I want to talk about your reticular activation system, because the more I study it, the more my mind is being blown. Okay, so I am sure everyone in here knows that one of my favorite quotes, because I say it a lot, is the quote by Henry Ford. Whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, either way you're right. There's a reason why that's true, and this is the science-based piece of your RAS, and that is the job of that bundle of nerves is to prove you right. Okay? If you think you can't sell a house because interest rates are high, your RAS is going to go, I got you. Let me show you all the reasons why you're right. If you say no matter what, people are still buying homes, I'm going to be the realtor they use, guess what? Your RAS is going, you're right. And look at all these people that are coming into your experience, your periphery. It's so important to identify what our belief system is so that if it does not serve us, we can change it. Because if your brain, if your reticular activation system is always trying to prove you right, a belief that you have that's so deeply embedded into your subconscious mind, you may not even be fully aware of it, could be preventing you from achieving or accomplishing your goals. So I would challenge everyone here who's either here listening or here in person or listening is to identify a rule or a belief or something that you hold on to that does not serve you, that is not something that you like even having it as a belief system. And I challenge you to begin to change it. And how we change our belief system is through repetition. Just like how we learn something is through repetition, why kids learn their ABCs with a song, and practice and practice and practice, musical instrument, whatever it is we need to learn, we repeat and repeat and repeat. It's the same way when we want to replace a belief system with something new, we repeat and repeat and repeat. So I challenge you, identify one, even one, that says this is not helping me and it could be hurting me, let's change it. And then give your reticular activation system the opportunity to prove you right once again. Thank you guys. Have a great short.
Perfect. Right.
So what Lisa just went over is going to tie into what we're going to be going over a little bit later. So that's
perfect, and that was not planned. So appreciate that.
Very much so. All right, come on down.
Good morning, everybody.
morning.
Not much new to report. I was out last week at Belle Isle with 97-year-olds. If you ever get a chance to check out the Belle Isle Nature Conservatory, don't. You're not missing much, I will say that. Especially when it's 90 degrees and the kids are absolutely miserable. So, with that being said, yeah, I don't really have a whole ton. If you guys need to get a hold of me, Tanya was able to give me a referral. I think she was pretty pleased. You know what I mean? We were able to turn it around quickly and things like that. My services haven't changed. It's pretty much the same deal that way. Companies are kind of being a little more willing to work with us. One thing that they're requesting that you do, so for like new purchases and things like that, if you got somebody with a finished basement, one thing that a lot of companies are looking at now is like water sensors. So you can get these, like you can set them up like near your sump pump or near some, water areas down in your basement, I guess, if you have a bathroom down there or whatever. But they're pretty cool. For like $50 on Amazon, you can get like a 5-pack and they'll have Wi-Fi connected, so it'll give you an alert right to your phone. That's been a huge deal for a lot of these companies, is requiring those or asking for those. Especially if we're looking for an increased limit in water backup coverage. So some pumps fail all the time, power goes out, whatever. Having those in place is a huge way to help you kind of deter any additional losses.
Is that being required when they're adding on additional things to the policy or just to a regular policy?
Yeah, so depending on the limit of coverage that they request or would want, like I have someone who has, a finished basement, they're concerned about their contents, blah, blah, blah. They wanted 50,000 in coverage. As a requirement, they said we need to get the water sensors in there because that'll help from, us having to pay that full amount, right? It's kind of the idea. But yeah, so that's kind of a nice thing to maybe keep an eye on with home buyers and things like that. If you got a finished basement, hey, $50, or maybe a good closing gift or something. I don't know if you guys do that. If you guys give people gifts at closing or whatever. Hey, here's some water. I know it's not as cool as like a Target gift card or whatever, but here's some water sensors. These might help you out. So, food for thought, I guess. Anybody have any questions for me? Anything going on? Yeah.
Over the weekend, I was showing houses and we looked at one condo and my buyer asked, how much of a difference is there between insuring a house and insuring a condo? Because basically the only thing the condo owner owns is what's inside the condo, not the building itself. So how much, is there a percentage of, say, the same square footage, the same type of 3-bedroom, 2-bath?
Yeah, so you hit the nail on the head. Your coverage is a lot less, right? So typically if we said, all right, we take this condo and it was a site-built home and you were responsible for the whole thing and it was going to be $350,000 to replace it, right? Like a rule of thumb that we kind of use is like we'd cut that number in half. So we'd say, okay, you're really only responsible for the studs in, so to speak. You don't have to worry about the roof. You're not worried about, X, Y, and Z. So we would put that coverage at like $175,000, and then the bigger thing is going to be the contents. So obviously, even though in a $350,000 home insurance policy, you're going to typically get like 75% of that $350,000 for contents. So we definitely want to make sure that even though like the building coverage is lower, we want to make sure we're still putting it in a good spot with contents. But to give you an example, I quoted one. I think they're buying it down in Commerce. For like $450,000 or something like that. Anyways, a couple $100,000 in coverage for the dwelling itself, a couple $100,000 in contents, and I think the premium was like $550 or something. So it is quite a bit more affordable, I would say, or more reasonable. And I think it all kind of balances out because you still have the condo association fees, right? So like, where you're kind of saving money here, they're kind of getting you over there. You know what I mean? If that makes sense.
You guys, I assume, I know you're brokers, so is there a company that that's tending to be less expensive than others that keeps popping up?
I mean, there's a ton of factors that go into it. So, credit is the biggest one, right? So, like, we don't really, I mean, we use insurance scoring, but I mean, we can call a spade a spade. It's 90% based on your credit. But there's also like different areas that, for whatever reason, one company might have really good loss ratios in that area, so they're giving rates that are better in one specific, zip code or township or whatever, as opposed to another one. So that certainly plays a factor too. I will say on the auto insurance side of things, Citizens has taken a bit of a decrease on new business, so that's been really nice. They're kind of seeing it balance out a little bit or level out that way. Travelers, they only do home insurance in the state of Michigan, and they've been very aggressive on that side of things because I think they have to get a certain amount of policies in order to make a profit in the state. So they've been pretty good regardless of area. But beyond that, no, I mean, I wish I had like a silver bullet company that I could go to every time, but it's just kind of one of those things. It just depends on all of the circumstances.
I know we went over this a week or so ago, or maybe a month ago, I don't know. Anyway, large trees hanging over a house, for the neighbors, large tree hanging over a house.
Sure.
Okay, is that, I can't remember if you said that it wouldn't be insurable, or if you could insure it, or what the situation with that?
Yeah, so like a good, I guess, way we look at it, or what a lot of these companies are looking at, is it's like a 30% or more. Some companies are saying, if 30% or more of the roof is covered, then they're not going to take it, or they would require the leaves to be trimmed back or something like that, if that was the case. But then there's other times when it's a canopy of a tree that's 80 feet in the air, right? So it's like, well, what are we supposed to, you know what I mean? So there's definitely a little bit more leeway or like nuance to it, I guess, now. But yeah, typically, like, they'll tell us right away, based on their aerial imagery reports, like whether or not it's going to be acceptable. So certainly if you come across one where you're like questioning, just shoot me a text, send me the address. I don't need the person's name or anything, but I can at least run something, in my name even, and just find out if it's going to be eligible or not. And that's a good place to kind of start.
And also, houses in the downriver area, those areas have been known to flood basements and all that, high rains.
Yeah.
What would you do about that, about insuring something like that, or won't you insure it if it's been known to have flooded before and come into the house, the water come into the house?
Well, I mean, there's certainly companies that would deny it or would say, we don't want it if they've had a certain number of claims in the last 5 years or something like that. I guess, I've got a gentleman that's in Grosse Pointe. I know that might not be downriver, maybe what you're talking about, but they had some terrible flooding. I think it was like 3 years ago. And since that claim happened 3 years ago, we can't charge him for it anymore. Like, he's back to being eligible. So I was able to rewrite him and save him some money that way. It's not necessarily me that's going to say, I don't want it, or I'm not going to work with them, but there would certainly be, those water sensors would almost guaranteed be required if we did want to work with someone in that situation where they've had water losses in the past.
So how does the water sensor work? I mean, is it sitting by a sump pump? Or?
Yeah, exactly. Yep, 100%. Yeah. So I've got like 3 of them at my house. We got talked into some silly security system a few years ago. It was whatever. Lesson learned, I guess, is the best way to put that one, and that we'll leave it there. But either way, they're like little, I don't know, they're like these little white sensors. I guess they could be any color, but those are the only ones I've seen. Anyways, you set them up near your sump pump. If they get even like a drop of water, or they detect any water, you would get a text message basically to your phone, or like an alert right to your phone. They're hooked up to the Wi-Fi, so they would run off of that. And then they've got like some sort of, either it's a charger, or they have batteries that only need to replace once every 30 years or whatever. Yeah.
We have one down here in the room. Ours is hardwired in because it's older, but, so anytime there is any type of moisture that hits it, we all get phone calls basically that there's water. It happens.
Yeah, for sure, it happens, yeah.
Whether it's a drip or whatever it might be, it could be condensation, it could be anything, but it does do its job.
Or whether it's your kids wanting to,
Yes.
just give mom and dad a quick scare.
Yes.
Right? Take a little water bottle and drop it on there. It's a lot of fun. But yeah. Anybody else?
Are you gonna be upstairs for a little bit after?
Yeah, I'll be here today. I'm gonna be catching up from the weekend, as I'm sure everyone is if they, I mean, you guys work all the time, so you know how it is. But
Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Could have, so my brain is, because I
Yeah,
have
get
a
the
lot
wheel
of people
spinning
that,
a little
yeah.
bit.
I mean, I didn't realize, I know that there was that, but I didn't realize how cheap it was.
It is.
And so
Yeah.
how easy.
No,
so
extremely
it's-
affordable,
yeah.
yes. And when you buy a security system with that, because you're told, well, this is what it is and this is how much it costs, and then you do a Google search after the person leaves and you sign the paperwork, that's when you really get upset. So I'm trying to save everyone from that happening to them.
He believed the dude who spewed that day.
He should be in real estate.
Yeah, absolutely. All right,
I
awesome.
had to.
Well, with something like that, isn't there like a 3-day right of rescission where you can back out after?
I'm sure there probably was, but at that point we were kind of in too deep, and it's one of those things where we were just like, you know what, we got to take this one on the chin, I think. But it's paid off now, so
Wonderful.
yeah, excellent. You guys take care. Thank you.
Thank you. No, it's all paid off. You're all good to go.
That's right.
Appreciate that. We obviously with the different type, the community that we're in, we do have water. Things happen. We have some pumps fail. A lot of people don't have backup batteries, even though we preach to have backup batteries. It's the best thing you could invest in for yourself. But I guess that's kind of like your alert system to tell you, hey, you better pay attention. You better pay attention. Tanya, come on down.
Good
You're on stage.
morning. Tuesday got here fast, didn't it?
Sure did. Sure did.
Just a few things. One, I will mention that you guys may have heard last week that VA has put a temporary pause on the fact that they could not charge, or people could not charge a VA buyer a commission. So that's a temporary. The formal announcement would come out by June 12th. So it was just commentary that came out so far, but it does sound good, so that's good. Although I believe, and I hope you guys believe too, that really this whole thing isn't about charging the buyer a commission. The whole thing is about educating the sellers that you're still paying the same, it's just we can't list it there to incentivize somebody to show your home versus someone else's. I think the more we say that and believe it and tell people, then they're gonna be like, oh, okay, this is just crazy rumor that everybody starts cycling in their heads about we don't have to pay anymore. Because no, everybody still has to pay. There's a job being done, you pay for services. We all know you get what you pay for, right? So anyways, but that was at least good because VA obviously does not allow for it, like the $295 or $395 or $595 or whatever anybody charges never can be charged on the VA loan, so that is allowable temporarily. So I just wanted to tag on the insurance. So we were talking about condo insurance versus home insurance. So when we, as a lender, get the condo policy from the buyer, that's called the HO6 policy, we also get the master insurance policy. So the master insurance that covers the building has to collectively be reviewed with the borrower's insurance to make sure that there's sufficient coverages. Very often, the master insurance does not have sufficient coverages. This comes up quite a bit with condos. And so we have to go back to the insurance agent and say, can you add this? Can you do this? Will you do this? They'll be like, oh yeah, we keep getting asked that. We need to change our policies. So they do change them. And usually it's when they're using like a smaller local company, you have more success with that. But both get reviewed. So again, I was saying, like, people need to get their insurance policy. Like the minute you walk out the door of the inspection, you know you're buying that house, go get your insurance policy because it's taking so much time for people to get policies and get good policies. I used to say people with condos would pay $300 or $400 a year on their policies. Now we're seeing them closer to $600 and $700. And I will tell you, I very seldom see a home insurance policy less than $1,500 to $1,800. I mean, like, they're really like getting up to closer to $2,000 on most of these policies anymore. I just have theirs came back on and it was a little bit more rural property, but it came back over $3,000 for like one of my low end purchases, $200 and some thousand. So, you know, the credit score of the borrower, if there's been any claims on that property before, you know, Alec shares some of those details that can impact that. So people need to look into their insurance up front, quickly. And very often I'll say, can I give your name and number to a gentleman in my office? And blah, blah, and most people will say yes. So
Unfortunately, they end up getting a lot of policies that people aren't getting great quotes from elsewhere, but it is such a wide range of what the costs are from place to place. So one thing I wanted to talk about that was on my mind today has to do with repairs to a home if you're getting VA or FHA financing. I had 2 last week alone, or the last 10 days maybe. One was a VA loan and one was FHA loan, and it had to do with downspouts. Does anybody know what the requirement is for downspouts? Water is not supposed to just come off the roof, it's supposed to be deterred away from the base of the home. Both homes, the downspout came down, ended. So what are you doing? You're just bringing the water down to go down the foundation, which creates obviously foundation concerns. So on both of those properties, they had to go out and put those 3-foot extenders on. So it's a very small item, very inexpensive item. Blake did his for his borrower on a VA that we just closed on Friday. And VA is actually pretty lenient. They didn't require the inspector to go back out. We were able to send pictures. VA was nice about that. Because re-inspections for something so simple is $150 to $200 that the buyer pays. The one I ordered on the FHA last week, it's a rural property. The woman doesn't want to go back out to the house for like 10 days, and she wants to charge $200. So we disputed that, and so we're getting somebody else who wasn't the original appraiser to go out there and take a picture, but they had other repairs besides the downspouts. So the other repairs too, and I say this all the time, peeling paint. It doesn't matter if it's on your shed, your door, your window, your inside, your outside. Peeling paint creates a problem because water seeps into your wood, which affects wood rot, leaking, everything else. So water creates damage, regardless if it's from lack of downspouts, from peeling paint, exposed wood, all those types of things. Water creates damage. So think about that, and I think that if you think about the last stuff Alex talks about, a lot of problems have been created by water, whether that be hurricane, tornado, rising waters, coming down waters. So all those types of things are good to think of as you're listing properties to give recommendations, because that's going to help your potential buyers with their insurance, with property appraising, and inspection. One other funny inspection thing came up. It was not mine, but the person did an inspection and came back to the seller and said they wanted the circuit breakers and some electrical stuff updated. And so the realtor asked, well, what are you asking for specifically? And they said, oh, because the house was built after the code change in 2017, let's say. Well, then this person shouldn't be looking at any houses built before 2017. You know what I mean? Like if that's what your concern is some sort of hazard because of the electrical. So it's just things to think about and have good ammunition, because I feel like right today, when people are bidding and winning bids, their plan is to go back after an inspection and then get that price down. I feel like it's constantly happening. Like I'll be like, oh, the inspection go fine, but we're waiting to see if the seller will come down. I feel like that's happening 9 times out of 10. So I think the better prepared the seller is, maybe pre-home inspections, or just by your knowledge of knowing some things that come up regularly, you can head some of that off and secure your sellers better prices, and buyers are having problems with financing. So that's it for me. Anybody have questions?
Great information.
Very good. Have a good week.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Tanya made me want to remind some, we always tell you about what we see coming through on purchase agreements from other areas or different agencies, or just different tactics. So one tactic, which we hear about once in a while, but I'm hearing it more than I would like, is appraisal guarantees. If the home does not appraise for what the buyer is hoping, they are going back and trying to renegotiate regardless of what they put in the purchase agreement. Happening a little bit more than what we should be seeing. We shouldn't be seeing it at all because the buyer made a commitment via contract. However, some of that stuff's always going to happen here and there. Seeing a little bit more. So be cautious to look for that as appraisal guarantees are coming through. Make sure if there's large funds that they've guaranteed to verify the funds are actually there, so that there's less for them to be able to argue.
Can you just give an example of what you...
It appraised over the list price. This particular one appraised over the list price, but it did not appraise at what it escalated to. It was an escalation period with an appraisal guarantee. And it appraised over the list price, however, it did not go to the top of where it escalated to, and the buyer attempted to renegotiate. But you have to remember, sellers get scared sometimes at that point, because they're like, we're at the end game, we're 3 weeks in, we're packed, we're ready to go, because that appraisal guarantee is there. Because what do we tell them? The buyer's responsible regardless of what happens, unless something detrimental happens, right? Because that's the truth. That's what they agreed to do.
It sounds like a lawsuit.
Just cautioning you. Yes, just cautioning you to look for it and watch for it. It is happening more than I would like. I saw a hand. Yeah.
One of the houses I showed this weekend, in the agent remarks, it said $395 processing fee the buyer has to pay to the listing broker. I mean, is that reasonable? I mean, is that even
Everything's
kosher?
negotiable.
Pardon
That's
me?
my best answer. It's negotiable by, yeah, I would write that right out.
Okay.
Yes. You will see it on distressed properties often, REO properties, foreclosures, things like that, auction properties. But on traditional sales, it's not nearly as customary.
But if you don't put it in the purchase agreement,
Right.
it doesn't mean
It doesn't mean anything. Correct. Right. So it has to be in the purchase agreement, has to be in the contract in order to be valid. The MLS ticket items are not part of the purchase agreement. So that's, yeah.
Has anybody shown a house that also in the agent remarks says it is virtual staging?
Yes.
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 So when you go into the house, okay, it doesn't look anything like the house that was on the listing?
Correct.
Okay.
It looks a lot nicer.
Oh, the virtual?
They're showing you how it could look.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
They have to tell you that it's virtual staging so that it's not a bait and switch type of a situation. You know, we've evolved to that at least, that they have to be told, it has to be disclosed that it's virtual staging.
Okay.
But virtual staging is not obviously the most ideal situation. In certain situations it needs to be done with new construction, things like that. But yeah, you would hope to not see as many traditional sales with it because it is hard to decipher.
Right, because you can't see the condition of the interior.
Correct, typically it's been edited.
Yeah.
Yeah, more than it really should be for a good description of what it is. All right. So we will be going over. Bill's out of town, by the way, so if you need anything for title, see Andrew, Dawn, or anybody down there, but if you need legal stuff, please just pop by my office or give me a call. So we're gonna be going over 2 crucial lists, little things over time in the apex predator mindset. We're a Tom Ferry day, okay? We're a Tom Ferry day. They all roll together, and these were all from different periods of time, recent, but not all aligning together, but they all roll together when we were when I was looking for content over the weekend of what we were going to go over. Our mindset is everything right now. It has to be everything because it is go time more than you think. It truly, truly is. And it's exciting because we're seeing the market break loose. So we need to get our energy going and wake up and grab this bull by the horns and get going, and let's giddy up. So if we could go ahead and play this one, please.
Oh, it didn't start? Hold on, I'll do it.
So when I look at a top producer, when I look at a brand new agent, top producer, I say to him, it's very simple. What plays do you run that generate listings? Like in professional sports, one of the things that really separates, a mediocre team is the number of times they run plays that work and the repetition, the practice, the rehearse, the drill of running effective plays. So when I look at a top producer, when I look at a brand new agent, top producer, I say to him, it's very simple. What plays do you run that generate listings? Like, what do you do? Like, you hike the ball. That's, we do the marketing piece. We run the Facebook ad. We follow up on the lead and we convert at this percentage. That's a play that you run that works. So when I started asking people, top producers, new agents, and, everybody in between, to really begin to articulate and write out and list out all the things you do in your business that work, it's really powerful. But I find that most people struggle with it. Then I ask them this. What plays do you run that you know don't work? Like, what do you know that you do that doesn't work? Like, I know running online ads and not following up on a lead in under 5 minutes, or better yet, like calling the customer while they're still on the website, like waiting an hour and a half doesn't work. Having salespeople on your team where you're spending money and you're giving them leads and they're not converting, but you didn't take the time to train them, that doesn't work. What if you wrote down all the things in your business that you know work and all the things you know in your business that don't work. Focus on the ones that don't work, eliminate them. Focus on the ones that are working, do more of them. And you know what? Maybe just maybe you'll be like a 5-time Super Bowl champion. Maybe just maybe you'll take more listings, make more sales, enjoy your life, make the kind of money you deserve. Or maybe just maybe you'll stop being frustrated because you keep doing stupid stuff. Does that make sense?
Tell me one thing that's working for you currently. What's working in your business? What is something you've dominated and it's working for you? You know it works. There's stuff that works in here for everybody. Shout it out, be proud. It's okay. What works? Does your internet marketing work? What was
Following
that?
up with people on a regular basis.
Yes. You are great on the phone. You are a person-to-person individual. You don't hide or go or do anything different. You pick up the phone. What works for you, Margaret?
Being in the community,
Yes.
just with the recycle, just face to face and the commitment.
You built a brand around it. And your gluten-free tips, all that, you've built a brand around these things. What else has worked for someone?
At the risk of being booed, internet leads.
Yeah, that's not being booed. That is a part of our realm of world. And you shouldn't be ashamed of that. It works for you. You guys have dominated it. Do not be ashamed of that. Be proud of that. You've done what a lot of people haven't been able to do with that and harness it and make it work for you. And you believe in it, and you trust it, and it works. Elaine, what have you done for years that works for you? You've been here. You know this inside and out. What works for you that maybe wouldn't work for somebody else?
Well, my business is mainly repeat and referral. Just working hard.
Working hard.
My referral, I showed yesterday, 9 houses downriver.
You're willing to take the extra step for them.
It was Alberta, how did you know? yeah.
I remember that name. Has she been around in the last few years?
It seems like it, but no, she hasn't. I mean, she was, last year, yeah.
That might be it.
I mean, we have gone from Owasso to Dearborn.
Oh, those are big differences.
and when I can't even think of her name. My mind is so rattled. Anyway, when she was saying that, think what, change what you don't like into the things you like. I was sitting here thinking, yesterday and this morning, I'm thinking, I hate this business. I hate this business. Well, that's the thing I'm going to change. I love this business.
Yes.
I love this business.
I love this business.
Yeah. So.
Yes. Give me something that you do, and this is a harder one to acknowledge, I think, a little bit out loud. What do you do that doesn't work? What's one thing that isn't working for you that you do, and you know it isn't really just yielding the results that you want? Kevin?
Postcards.
And stop doing them, unless you need to. What's another one? Give yourself the permission to eliminate it if you don't need to do it. What's something that you're doing that you know it isn't working, and you think you're supposed to do it, but it's just not working for you? Don't do things because you think you're supposed to. If it's not working for you, eliminate it from your daily practice. Don't fill your space with it. There are things we have to do. I don't mean like turning your paperwork in on time and things like that. Kathy's like, no, keep doing these things. I mean like your daily activities that you're doing that isn't yielding you income producing activities that you think maybe, but maybe they're not. We do them all the time. If you're not doing it well, stop doing it, right? Margaret.
I just deleting people from your list that you keep doing, but they kind of, it's just like, just
eliminate
be done, yeah.
If it brings you stress and anxiety, we'll saw it out,
yeah.
Yeah. We all have things that we do because we think we're supposed to do them. You don't need to make that part of your daily practice in real estate. Save that for home, okay? It might serve you better there. Eliminate the things that are not working for you. Or if you know you need to do them, make the time to figure out to master the craft so that you can incorporate it into your business. You're right.
There was 2 more, yep.
Yes.
But for some reason I have to start them.
Oh, that's okay. I think, there we go, next one here. Thank you.
Next one?
Yes, this one right here. These are short.
Little
I
things
promise.
done over time create massive amounts of momentum and change. Little things done over time. So for years, I keep telling people that, you know, if this is your goal and these are your behaviors, we need to align your behaviors, and that's where you get the huge breakthrough you want in your business. It's very easy to say this and do this in a seminar, and people physically understand that if this is what I'm committed to, this is the direction, but my behaviors are over here, I need to align it. The question is, how do I begin to align my behaviors? And what I've studied and what I've discovered in my work is that people get this, but what they try and do is they try and do these massive, big changes. Like, I'm going to go from never working out to trying to run a marathon. And that's admirable, and I appreciate the big thinking. What I know, though, over time, it's like Jeff Olson wrote about it in The Slight Edge 1,000,000 years ago, that little things done over time create massive amounts of momentum and change. Little things done over time. You know, they say making your bed every day is an excellent way to start your day with power, right? Getting up on time. The little things, right? Do the thing, have the power. Do not the thing, have not the power. We hear these phrases over and over again. So the advice that I would say to people when you're thinking about maybe the disconnect between your goals and your ambition and your drive and your behaviors, don't think about these big, massive changes. You know, I'm going to go from never prospecting to making 20 calls a day, right? How about like make 2? How about send 2 text messages and do it over and over and over and over and over and over, and having that self-accountability to do it over and over and over. That discipline becomes a behavior, and when it becomes a behavior over time, you're aligned, and that's where the breakthrough begins. Now, you should Google this. There's a lot of talk about this 21 days to develop a habit, right? You've seen it, I've seen it, a lot of people talk about it. Let me tell you right now, it's BS, right? It doesn't work. The science actually shows that it's in the 80 to 90 days of doing these little behaviors over and over again that it actually becomes a behavior. It becomes a way of being for you. So I like to talk about 90-day cycles, right? When I'm looking to create a breakthrough in my life, it's not, you know, can I do yoga for 30 days? Or, you know, can I run 3 times a week for a month? I'm looking at, can I do something for 90 days? 90 days, a little bit every single day for 90 days, and that's where you get the massive breakthrough. So I would say to you, stop looking for the quantum leap and start looking for the daily discipline, because that's where the breakthrough lives.
Does the 90 days resonate with you? Does it make sense as to why 90 days makes a heck of a lot more sense than 21 or 30 or 60? At 90 days, it becomes part of your life. It is fully engrossed in your life. You've done it for a very long time at that point in comparison to not doing it, as far as the timelines go. It is part of your daily life. What do we say? Elephants, we're looking at an inspection. What do we look for? The elephants, not the ants. For this, we're looking at small movement versus big movement so that you can make it part of your life and not shock the system so badly. And that's when we stop doing things, right? If things get a little painful, if we haven't done it long enough, we stop doing it. It's a heck of a lot easier, right? You go back to what you knew, what you did previously. If you're doing small, little, minor improvements, changes, you will incorporate them a heck of a lot better than life-altering changes. Save that for when life throws big curveballs at you and you need to adjust to it that way. Allow yourself to adjust properly, slowly, make it part of your day. Margaret.
I would just add, I mean, I think just like with Alcohol Anonymous, you know, one day at a time. I mean, I think shoot for the 21 days, and then once you hit the 21 days, then shoot for the 90. I think 90 is, but 90 I think is just when you think about, I mean, I totally get it, but to focus on 90 day versus 21 day, I think you should just start, you know, with 1 day, 21 day, 90 day.
Yeah, you're breaking it up so it doesn't seem like such a big animal in front of you. That completely makes sense. So the little things add up to massive momentum like a snowball does, right? What do kids do? You roll it, you roll it, you roll it until you can barely roll it anymore. That's the fun part of going outside and playing, right? Which we all need to do a little bit more of. And that snowball effect will work for you if you allow it to add up over time instead of trying to jam it all through. You can see our topic for today and how it's all aligned together is just the small things make a big impact. Eliminate the things that aren't working for you. And now we're going to move to high energy for one moment, and then I promise we'll get you out as soon as we're done with the stats and new listings. All right, let's go to the next one, Brent, if you don't mind.
This one, right?
Yes, the apex predator mindset.
What would it take to add a little more juice, a little more fire, a little more energy? Looking for something to think about on this Monday? What if I told you in 2023, 5,238 agents total in the entire United States listed more than 45 houses, 197,000 listed, call it 4 to 44 properties. And the question is, what do you think is the difference that made the difference? What do you think is the difference in their mindset? What do you think is the difference in the way they look at their day, the way they act, the way they walk, the way they talk, the way they operate, the way they market, the way they follow up? What do you think is the difference? I would make the assumption that it's a lot, but I want to know, what do you think? I believe at the end of the day, there's two kinds of people on this planet. People that have a knowing and a level of certainty and a level of drive, call them apex predators, whatever you want. Like, they are straight up killers. They love it. They go after it every single day. And then there's a whole bunch of people on the planet that are trying to figure it out. Now, you're watching my show, so I know where you stand. But my question is, what would it take to do a little more? What would it take to add a little more juice, a little more fire, a little more energy? Because if all those other men and women can list 45, 65, 75, 200, 300 homes in a year, you and I both know you have it in you. At a certain point, it's time to let it out. If not now, then when? That's my thought on this Monday. Think about it, decide, and let's get out there and attack the day.
So we're going to evaluate what we're doing that is working. Noting what works. We're going to eliminate the things that are not working that can be eliminated, or at least eliminated downward to the point that when you do them, you're doing them efficiently. And then we are going to align our behaviors with our goals so that we make good habits. And we're taking and adding small things in to create a snowball effect. And at the same time, this is allowing us the energy, the space, the mindset to attack it and go at it like you should be. Repetition every single day. Every single day to get going. It's a very simple mindset. And when you break it down, it's the most simple thing to do because you already have all the tools that you need. You just roll forward and do it. And you can. And you are, and we're dominating, and we're going to continue to dominate and continue to be part of those high statistics because of what we do, who you are, and how much you put into your businesses every single day. So, Jordan, tell us what good things are happening in the market right now.
Oh, what's interesting.
Can we get to that? Sorry,
what do you think happened with the numbers over the holiday weekend? Do you think the inventory went up or went down?
Up.
I thought it was going to as well, it actually went down. Yeah.
Down.
Okay. Oh yeah, we had a solid drop.
Yeah.
Which is perception, because agents say that houses shouldn't go up on a holiday weekend.
Last week there was 414 available, today 402. First drop we've seen in over a month, which is surprising. And I just thought that was, not what I had anticipated. But it shows that, I don't know if it was sellers who were hesitant to list because of that thought, like, hey, it's the Memorial Day weekend, buyers are out there, looking over the holiday weekend. Clearly they were. Clearly the buyers weren't, dissuaded to go put offers in and all that. And I put offers in over the weekend. And so, it's something that, just the pendings and all that outpaced the new. So, still, good inventory out there, but if your sellers were waiting until after the holiday, they didn't need to. Basically, is the lesson there.
Yeah. What will be interesting to see next week, to see where we're at, if we're in the 60s or we're in the 70s or we're in the 80s. That's what will be interesting to watch, of how many we're going to, the trend that we're going to see jumping upward, because a lot was held off this week. Understandably, it's a holiday weekend, right? Everybody does deserve. There's a lot of people out of town, and people have lives, right? Family time, remembering all the different things we're supposed to be doing during these periods. So, but it will be very fascinating to see if we're in the, I doubt we'll be in the 50s. We'll be in the, my gut says we'll be somewhere in the 70s range. That's what I think. We'll see. I'd love to see it in the 80s or the 90s though. get those buyers off the ledge and get them out looking at houses, because rates are gonna do what rates are gonna do, and you're gonna find them a house that fits that they can afford, right? That's what we do. Figure out how to make it work. Anybody have any new listings? Colleen?
We just put one on as we were in this meeting. It will be, you can show it Thursday, but it's on the market. A home on 4 acres off of Eager Road. It's on the back, across from the back entrance of Flicker Hills. It's large, so 6 bedrooms, 3 kitchens, kind of set up for multi-living, multi-generational living, I guess I would say. Pond frontage, 3 baths, did I say it's on 4 acres? So 22,018 square feet with an additional 2,000 finished in the walkout lower level.
Yeah, I'm sorry,
2218 square feet.
Okay. Oh. You said 22,000 at first.
Yeah?
I was like, whoa, that's where we're at.
2,218,000 square feet. 2,000 finished in the walkout lower level, 499.9. Super beautiful. It does look a little dated on the outside, but they have completely remodeled the whole interior, so don't let the outside first pictures. Oh, it has a pool too, so take a look at it. It's really pretty.
That's cool.
Nice setting. A big family that.
A lot of multi-generational families coming about.
1,800 Eager, not 18,000, 1,800.
Who else has another new listing? All right, buyer needs. Think about those people that have talked about wanting to downsize family members and such, because multi-generational living is becoming very, very popular again. Because you can share, there's a lot of cost savings with that, with different families, and ultimately families end up taking care of other family members. So, food for thought about people who have said triggering things. Think about things that have been triggering in your brain with this house. All right? Danny, you good?
Sure.
On that note, please have a wonderful day. Joe's doing great, by the way.
Is he still in Texas?
He is in town currently. Oh. Yep, he was in Texas last week, he's back this week. Yep, he's resting.
Yes, I realized.